Data science was a hot topic in 2023, the year before, and even 5 years ago. And take my words when I say this, it's going to be like this even in 2024, 25, 26, and even beyond. So, if you're new to this industry and want to be a part of this revolution, then you are in the right place. In this video, I'll take you through the step-by-step process on how to get started and how to become a successful data scientist. If you follow along with full honesty and dedication, then you don't have to worry about anything. I promise you that you will become a successful data scientist in no time. Look, there are three ways with which you can become a data scientist. First one, earn a degree. Second one, join a boot camp, which is nothing but a combination of multiple courses joined together. And third one is your self-learning approach, which is what we are recommending today. For anyone who is absolutely new to this industry, I always recommend to go for a self-learning path. And there is a very solid reason behind it. First one is this actually develops a habit of exploring things on your own, which to be honest is the most critical skill which is required to become a successful data scientist. And second, in case you get started, you start realizing that this is something which is not for me, this is not very exciting for me, I don't like coding a whole lot, then there is always a way out without losing any money. If you ask me, learning data science is very easy if you have a proper structure and strategy in place. A step-by-step process where you will not only learn one topic at a time, but also you're going to utilize your learnings to build some real-life projects. And these projects are going to help you in your job search journey. Now you might be thinking, what makes this gringo all of a sudden an expert in data science? My name is Gaurav. I graduated from IIT Delhi and I have about 15 years of experience in developing and deploying machine learning and other analytical solutions in various multinational organizations. Currently, I am leading a risk division here at Goldman Sachs in the United States. Alright, so enough about me. Now, before we dive into the roadmap, I would like to take a quick minute to give an introduction about data science. Now, organizations worldwide collect petabytes of data every single day. They use this information to extract the meaningful insight that they use on a day-to-day basis to improve their business. Now, this is where data scientists, data analysts, and data engineers come into the picture. People in all of these three legs come together to help facilitate this. Now, in case you are wondering what is the difference between data scientists, data analysts, and data engineers, I have made a separate video, so please do check that out. I'll post the link for the same in the details section. Now, one last thing before we dive into the details of roadmap, I would like for you to pause this video, go to LinkedIn, and search for data science jobs in your dream organization. If you want to work in Amazon or Facebook or any of the banks, just search for those organizations and take a look at the job description section. What does a day-to-day look like for any of a typical data scientist? You will see how impactful and exciting the work is. Now at this point in time, I would say that don't worry too much about that skills required section because that's exactly what we are going to discuss today. Another thing you could do is talk to some of the data scientists who's already working in this industry for a few years. In case you don't have any data scientist in your friend circle, that is absolutely fine. Just go to LinkedIn, search for some of the data scientists in your dream organization and send them the request. Once they accept it, then ask for a few minutes and just ask them what their day-to-day look like, how impactful their work is. I'm pretty sure that once you listen to these people, once you talk to them, you will be excited for this industry. Alright, so coming back to the roadmap, let's get started. So this data science roadmap will be divided in three main sections. So first of all, we'll talk about some of the key skills required to become a data scientist. Again, this is going to be a very step-by-step process. So it's really important that you stick to the plan, which is what we are going to discuss in coming few slides. So as such, each one of these areas that you see, like for instance, Python or MySQL or the mathematics which is required is a vast area. So if you want to go ahead and explore like the entirety of each one of these areas, then it's going to take you forever. So you should have a proper strategy and structure in place that these are the only topic that I'm going to get started with. These are the only topic that I'm going to learn. So with which you will be able to finish some of these things in time. Second topic will be the different projects that you should be working on. Again, this is also a very vast sea. So just take a look at some of the sample projects, which is what we're going to discuss today as well. So those could be some of the sample projects that you should work on. But whatever project that you do decide to work on, make sure that it has to be a clean project. You should have like proper steps being followed and you should be able to document everything in one place because you're going to use these projects in your interview process. You are going to share these projects to your potential employer in case you're searching job in data science, and you will tell them that, okay, these are the things that I have already learned and these are the things that I have applied it as a part of this project, and this is how the overall project looks like. So it's really important that you should have followed the proper structure when you are going through these projects. Last section is job search. So this is only for people who are looking for a job in in data science domain. So in case you are, so do check this out. So this will have 3 different sections. So you will have resume building, you will have LinkedIn updates, and you will have job search. Now for each one of these topics, I have made content on my channel as well. So definitely I would recommend to check those out. For those videos, I have followed the same structure as we are going to discuss today. My recommendation is to follow through this structure. I promise you that you will have a seamless learning experience. Within Python, these are the different topics that you should learn about. So first of all, get started with data types. And then afterwards, you have some of these conditional statements like if then else, you have while statement, you have for loop. All of these things are kind of very similar and they kind of remains very consistent across different coding language. So just in case you want to learn a little bit more about it, I would suggest there's 2 different ways. One, I have made a dedicated playlist for Python where each one of these topics are discussed in exact same order. So you can just simply go ahead and start the playlist and start going through video one by one. Another approach is just copy this text and put it in the YouTube search window. And then you will have a lot of different videos. Like there are a lot of different content creators, lots of different videos. So just follow through and you will understand what does it mean when you say if then else statement. For each one of these things, I would strongly recommend to keep on doing more and more exercise. In case you don't have access to any of the data, I would say just like create your own data, go to a simple Excel sheet, create your data and just try out some of these functions like if then else statement, while loop, for loop, etc. Then afterwards, you should understand about functions in Python. This is again very critical topic that you're going to use again and again in your Python journey. So having a solid understanding of function is going to be very critical. The next topic is NumPy. Again, this is a vast topic. I have made a video on this as well. So do check that out. And then comes pandas. For this, I have created another dedicated playlist. So do check out the content over there. Once you're done with some of these topics, then you can come to some of the more advanced topics. The first one is your Lambda. Again, it's kind of very related to your functions. And then you have visualization tools like Matplotlib and Seaborn. So again, this is also very important. So once you understand some of these basics, do spend a lot of time in your visualization because this comes in very handy in case you want to pursue a career in this industry. Then afterwards, you should understand a little bit more about classes on objects. Again, this is very optional. I wouldn't say that it's absolutely necessary, but as I said earlier, that you should follow through in the same order, get started with the data type, if then else statement, and so on. And then once you reach here, if you have sufficient time, then you can just explore some of these topics as well, such as classes, objects, and read and write files in Python. Once you are done with this, then you should move on to the next topic, which is SQL. Now within SQL, there are a lot of different versions of SQL, but the one that I would recommend is MySQL because one, it's free, and second, it's easy to download and install it both on your Mac infrastructure or your Windows infrastructure. And using MySQL, I have also created a dedicated playlist. That playlist is complete. So I have followed the exact same structure as you see here. So to get started with how to create a database, then you have select statement, where statement, and then just follow along, right? So some of these topics you're going to use one upon another. So once you understand what the select statement is, then afterwards you should move on to the where statement, regular expression, and so on. So it's really important that you should follow this order. In case if you have any of the question for any of these topics, please do make sure to drop a note in the comment section. Or if you're going through any of these videos in my channel as well, then definitely make sure that you're dropping a question over there. I'll try my best to answer all of your questions. So do spend a lot of time in your joins and subqueries because these are 2 topics which are like a little bit more complicated, but at the same time, it's going to be very critical. So it's important that you understand the concept. It's important that you practice a lot. On an average, if you don't have any experience in MySQL, then I would say it shouldn't take you more than a month to learn all of these different topics. And when I say learn, I mean like not just learning, but also doing a lot of practice. However, for Python, it might take a little bit more time. So maybe 1 to 2 months, you can say approximately 2 months that it will take you to cover all of these topics. Again, practice is the most important thing. Do make sure that you're going to lead code. Do make sure that you are going to different online sources, find out all of the different questions and practice. Once we are done with these 2 topics, then you come to the mathematics section of it. This is where we'll learn about maths and stats. Again, these are all of the different topics that you should cover. Now, it's really important that you follow a structure and order like this. And the reason behind is that some of the concepts that you will learn, like say, for instance, mean, median, mode, or variance and standard deviation, some of these critical topics, once you understand them, then some of the other topics which comes afterwards, it'll be easier for you to understand that. Once again, on my channel, I have created one dedicated channel for stats where I have covered all of these topics in the exact same order. So please do check that out as well. In order to be a successful modeler, in order to be a successful data scientist, it's really important that you should have a strong grasp on each one of these topics. Once you cover all of these topics, I think this is good enough for you to get started with stats. Then apart from this, I don't think that you have to learn anything else as a beginner. So if you have like a strong grasp for all of these things, that's absolutely fine. Now, another thing I want to quickly mention here is that there are quite a few different topics here. So it's very much possible that you will start learning about mean, median, mode. You will go to the third topic, fourth topic, fifth topic, and then afterwards you will probably forget about the first one. That's totally fine. I would say just follow along and keep on revising some of the topics that you're already covered. It's important that you go back and brush up on some of the topics that you have already covered. Now, once you're done with the stats related topic, then we move on to the next section, which is statistical modeling. Now, for statistical modeling, first of all, try to understand some of these concepts like supervised learning, unsupervised learning. What does it mean, first of all, when I say that we have to build a supervised model versus unsupervised model? And for that matter, what does even model mean? So for each one of these topics, I have made dedicated videos, so definitely check those out. Once you understand what is a supervised learning, unsupervised learning, do check out what is regression versus classification. Then afterwards, learn a little bit about model data preparation. Again, this is a very vast field. This has multiple steps to it. I would say there are like 10-15 different steps, and this is kind of very much dependent upon what type of modeling technique are we talking about. However, at a very high level, some of the steps kind of remains very similar, so it's important that you understand at least those. Then the last topic here is model evaluation. Again, in order for you to understand model evaluation, you will have to understand some of these concepts. So that's why I said that you should have like a strong grasp of stats before you move on to the modeling part of it. So once you're through these topics, once you understand what does it mean when I say model evaluation, again, model evaluation meaning what are some of the key matrices that you will track if you're building a model, which could be your model Gini or accuracy deviation, type 1, type 2 errors. So all of those things you should have like a strong grasp on. Once you understand all of these concepts, then and only then you should actually start learning about the modeling techniques. So first of all, try to understand some of the very basic type of model, things like a linear model. So as a part of a linear model, you will have a linear regression and a logistic regression. So do try to understand the concept and the mathematics behind both of these models in very much of a detail, and try to build some of these models as well. And then once you're done with this, then you move on to the next part, which is your non-linear tree-based model. Again, the simplest one is your decision tree. And then afterwards, you should also check out random forest and GBM or XGBoost. So if you have to learn about GBM and XGBoost, I would suggest that just go for XGBoost directly. Then afterwards, you should also take a look at unsupervised models. So some of the unsupervised models are k-means, PCA, and clustering. So do check these out as well. So again, as I said, just follow this order. For each one of these things, I am in the process of making a content. I'm in the process of making the separate playlist for each one of these things. Do check out the content on my YouTube channel as well. There's a professor called Andrew Ng, so do check out his video as well. He has made a lot of content on each one of these modeling techniques, and to be honest, like I have learned a lot from his videos as well. Now, once you are done with the statistical modeling techniques, again, this should probably take another like 1 to 2 months. Once you know about 5, 6, 7, 8 different learning techniques, then the next question that will come to your mind is that which modeling technique to use when. So that's another topic that you should definitely search about, you should definitely learn about. Once we are done with that, then we move on to the next section, which is for Excel. Excel is a very light, simple to understand tool, but you should definitely have like a good understanding of this, because in a team setting, it's very much possible that few of the data scientists actually knows SQL and Python, but pretty much everyone in any of the organization knows Excel. So that's why you should definitely have like a good understanding of Excel as well. Again, I have covered all of the important topics that you should cover as a part of Excel. And these are the only things as a part of Excel that you should learn to get started with. So don't get bogged down on things like VBA or the macros. I think some of those are like very outdated and complex topics that you don't have to worry about. If you already know Python, I think that's good enough. Once we're done with Excel, then we move on to the next section. This is where we start building the project. Do make sure that you're covering each one of the earlier topics in thorough details before we start working on the projects, because it's really important that your basics for Python, your SQL, your modeling techniques, your stats should be very, very clear before we start building some of the projects. The first project that you should work on is your exploratory data analysis. Again, what is exploratory data analysis? Just search for this keyword on internet. You will have a ton of contents. The next set of projects that you should be working on is your end-to-end model building. So as a part of a model building, you should have different steps like model ideation, which is what is the idea behind building this model? Why are we building this model? Then afterwards, data cleaning, feature engineering, modeling fit, hyperparameter tuning, model performance, model deployment. So I would suggest that A to F is an absolutely must if you want to have a good career in data science. The last section, which is G, this model deployment, is optional. Some organizations keep model deployment separate, so it's totally fine if you skip this one as a beginner, but A through F is definitely a must. So you should cover all of these topics in detail. Once we are done with projects, then we move on to the next section. This is where job searching starts. So in case you're not looking for a job in this industry, but rather it's just a hobby, then I guess that's pretty much it. Just follow along through the step 1 and step 2. However, if you want to build a career in this industry, then let's check out the content for the third section as well, which is job related. So first one is your LinkedIn. It's really important that you spend time updating your LinkedIn. There are a lot of minute small details. Again, it's a vast topic on which I'm in the process of making a video, so definitely do check that out. First important thing to note when you're building a LinkedIn profile is that there has to be a story coming out of it. It shouldn't be just random lines. Depending upon the type of industry you want to build your career in, you should have a good story to tell as a part of your LinkedIn profile. And when I say story, I mean like you should have details about the different projects that you have worked, and all of these things should be relevant to that particular industry work stream that you want to pursue a career in. So say for instance, if you want to have a career in data science in your banking domain, because that's where I work, so that's the example I'm giving you. Some of these projects should be in the data science, finance, or a banking domain, and the data or the exact use cases are already available on internet. So definitely check that out. Once you've completed all of these projects, just put it on Git or just create a separate web page for yourself. Whichever you decide, you should definitely call that out as a part of your profile. So you should say that, okay, these are the type of projects that I have already worked on. Profile picture also plays a very important role. You don't have to have very fancy profile picture. It should look very professional. As a part of the content, pay special attention to your work experience, your education, your projects. So for each one of these things, it should follow a storyline. So you should show that how is your education contributing towards your projects? How is your projects helping you towards your work experience? So that's the kind of a story that we are looking for, which is kind of very compelling. So keyword optimization is also very important. So say for instance, if you're looking for a job in a certain industry and that particular industry has a certain keywords. So like say for instance, for banking, you will have things like risk or fraud or credit risk or stuff like that. So some of those things should be there as a part of your profile so that when the recruiter is looking for the profile, they will probably just go ahead and put some of those keywords in the search section. And then at that point in time, if you have the relevant keywords, then your profile will come up in their search criteria. Then comes the next section, which is your resume update. So if you have worked thoroughly on your LinkedIn profile, then resume update is going to be fairly simple and easier because you can just go ahead and take a download of all of the different projects or the different storyline as a part of your resume as well. If you're applying for a particular job, it's totally fine to have a different version of resume. So like, so say for instance, you can have one version that you can go ahead and apply for the open position in Amazon. Another version that you can go ahead and apply for the open position in, let's say, Goldman Sachs. And the reason to have like a different version is so that you can highlight some of the key skills which is relevant to that position. So say for instance, if you have any experience in, let's say, pharmaceuticals and you want to switch over to banking domain, banking people probably don't care about some of the things that you have done as a part of a pharmaceuticals. However, they would care about some of your mathematical skills. They would care about some of your data science skills. So it's important to highlight some of those things as a part of your resume. And that's why it's absolutely important and critical that you should have like a different version of resume, which is very much catered towards the open position that you're applying for. As a part of your resume, have like a different section for your work experience, education, projects, and accomplishment. I would strongly recommend, in case you are getting started in your job search journey, take a look at some of the sample resume that already exist on internet. You will get a good idea about the format, the color themes, the type of things that you should put as a part of a resume. Some of the things that you should absolutely steer clear of things like hobbies or interest. Those things are absolutely waste. It does not add any value. So definitely make sure that you're not adding those in your resume. Hopefully this would have given you a good idea about the roadmap that you have to follow. If you follow along the structure that I have given you, then within 6 months, you should be in a very solid spot to get started in the data science industry. I wish you best of the luck, and please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or you need any kind of a guidance. Thank you so much.